Okay, everyone, welcome to the international launch of Your Platform Power. Yay! Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to those of you live. Yes, welcome, Alison, and welcome to those on replay. I know we have some people who are like, yes, I want to watch this on replay. So don't worry, it's coming out to you guys too. But yeah, just a quick intro. So I am a co-account. I love all things LinkedIn, but I love even more to empower diverse speakers to get paid to speak. And one of the things that I've found that's really helpful in this is that belief, that faith in ourselves, and having that courage to be a visible leader. Because regardless of where we are in our speaking journey, it is about that belief first. And it's actually something that people really underrate when they think about becoming a speaker. They think about, the end product, speaking on the stage, wowing their audiences and, transforming lives and sharing their motivational and inspirational stories. Amazing. We absolutely love that. But before we really create a sustainable speaking business, we gotta have that belief and that confidence, because if we don't start with the right foundations, we have problems when it comes to pitching, setting our fees, and actually, attracting the right kind of gigs, but also being able to walk in that faith and that courage of knowing that we have to be resilient as speakers, that it isn't just simply by being good that we're going to actually get the results that we desire. There is work to do, y'all, and I'm going to share a bit about yes, Alison. Share a bit about how that can look for you. So, before we get started, the book is called Your Platform Power. So please feel free to shout it out on socials. The hashtag is Your Platform Power, Visible Leader, and my name. Again, the official welcome. So this is the book. The official name is How to Build a Profitable Speaker Brand in a Polarized World. And why is it titled this? In fact, it's got two titles. So the first title is Your Platform Power. And what does that mean? So that actually is about everyone leaning into the authentic voice, everyone getting off unmute, everyone not feeling like they have to be a certain kind of way, or restrict themselves to who they think they should be, because the challenges that we face out there in the world are not going to be solved by us thinking the same. They're going to be solved by us being original, dynamic, creative, and us really leaning into what it is that we have from our skills and experiences that make our perspective unique and valuable, and really dialing into that and creating a package around that in order for us to meet business problems, and to solve world problems. So I invite you to join your paid speaker era, because this is your paid speaker era. It can be right now. I invite you to join us, because I know a lot of experienced people out there, are thinking that it's something that they should wait on, but it isn't. They already have some of the skills. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about what it is that we need to do in order for us to bridge that gap between the it seems so far away and it seems so hard, but actually when we take the right intentional steps, it's not really that hard at all. So let's dive in. So I'm an affirmations girl, and in the book there are 13 affirmations for you. This is one of them. I am a paid speaker, and you'll see in the book, it literally does say it with me, I'm a paid speaker, and then whatever affirmation is on the page. So you've got 13 to enjoy, 12 to enjoy now. I've revealed one. So that is going to be incredible. I hope that you enjoy that in the book. It's also got a soundtrack. So each chapter has an affirmation and a soundtrack. So again, if you've read the first book, it's got that same kind of vibe, but with a whole speaker flex, helping you to think about, okay, what am I affirming to myself? And also, what am I using as musical inspiration to help me to move forward in the action steps that I need to take? So I thought I'd start with a bit about my story. And what I'm going to say about that is, in 2022, I was bold and I was audacious. I decided that I wanted to speak on stages. I was ready to stop hiding myself and my light, and I thought that the world needed to hear what I had to say. So I sat down, I wrote some emails, I made like a template, and the title of the email was A Cool Account Speaker Reel 2022. And listen, y'all, I had no speaker real insight, but I had the courage and the audacity to make that claim. Why? Because I had evidence, right? It was not real, but I had evidence. I had YouTube, I had webinars, and I just literally put them together on an email saying, this is my reel, here's what I can do for you, and put it out there. Now, you're going to be like, Akua, did you not lie? I did not lie. I told them that I had evidence, and it was there for them to see. And yes, I got a lot of no's, but actually, there was one amazing yes. And at this time, I wasn't like trying to get paid to speak. I was literally trying to be on a stage. And that one yes led me to an amazing journey and experience who I am today. But that yes led me to speak on a big stage where I got some great photos and some great collateral to help me to start to launch into really thinking about how can I own being a paid speaker? You know, how can I actually take the step to not only just cold pitch without too much thinking about like how to negotiate or how do I think about how can I really put myself forward in a way that's going to allow me to build a sustainable speaking business. At that time, it wasn't about being paid. It was about getting on the stage and then working out where I wanted to go from there. But here is the thing. One of the things I had to really like teach myself is that there are so many stages and opportunities. There's no shortage of it. In fact, the speaking industry is $1 billion industry. But here's the thing, y'all. Like organizers and bookers, they're self-interested. So no one's gonna offer to pay you. You know, I was on the free speakers list for ages and ages and ages, you know, because I kept thinking one day someone's gonna say, Akua, you know what, you paid your dues, I'm gonna pay you. That never happened. All that happened was I got better at speaking. So I'm here at Mission Star free lunch, and they kept eating and enjoying and not paying. And I was like, hold up a minute, this is wrong. But I had to get to a point where I was like, this is wrong. Why isn't something changing? You know? And that's because it's upon us as speakers to take responsibility. You know, we actually have to take ownership of being paid. You know, it's like being a job market candidate. It's the same with the speakers, right? You know, we got to negotiate our deals. We got to like go into it saying, you know what, I have an amazing speaker package, you know, that provides you with this, this, and this, and here's what it costs. You know, what is your budget? And we're going to go with it like that, because otherwise we can have many conversations and they can say, yep, great, amazing, love what you're doing. And they're like, yeah, here's the deal with £0, €0, zero, whatever currency is. They will just accept and eat and eat and eat and feast on you until you're like, this is, okay, I'm starving here and we're not moving forward with our speaking career. So I want you to remember that yes, your voice is your freedom plan, but only if you take ownership of that voice and you actually intentionally, you know, ask and negotiate and be a professional speaker in that sense, because it's the ownership of the money conversations and the money mindset that really sets us apart from being a hobbyist to being a professional speaker, where it's a business and you understand as a business owner, everyone's got to eat, so everyone's got to negotiate and everyone's got to talk about the fees and set their fees intentionally. So that leads nicely onto your paid speaker identity. So you are in the right place in the right room if you want to get paid to speak. You know, if you're ready to be a more visible leader and you're ready to build a stronger visible presence. Because yes, part of it is the belief as we talked about in the beginning, but the third part of it is about making sure that you're showing up, that it's in congruence with the beliefs that you have about your skills, your story, your journey, and the things that you're selling as a speaker. And that means that you actually have to put it out there and not just say, I get good feedback and people invite me to talk all the time. Yes, I believe that happens for you. But actually, if there's no evidence and proof of that, you're not going to get booked. So this is where I started, the speaker mindset. So the speaker mindset keeps you on the free speakers list. And this is the the person that says yes to every opportunity because they're so grateful that they've been asked. It's an honor to be asked to speak on your expertise, share your story, your journey, whatever it is that you're passionate about and expert in the world in. Yeah, that's great and good, and I love that. But here's the thing, when we are passive in our acceptance of these opportunities, this is when we don't take ownership of our speaking career, and that's when we are waiting to be like picked like a pop star. This isn't like Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent. We got to take ownership and actually step forward in that advocacy of saying I am a paid speaker, as we affirmed. Therefore, I negotiate like a lawyer, and I ask for the budget and negotiate for the fees. So yeah, paid speaker mindset is obviously about having that confident job seeker or speaker mindset where we are thinking that actually every time I go into a conversation about getting booked, I'm asking about obviously the requirement the requirements for the booking, but also what is the budget, and how can we discuss what I'm going to get paid. And when we're negotiating, we've got to think that actually, sometimes we're going to say no. Sometimes it's not, the deal's not going to align, but we actually have to ask the question, what is the budget, in order for us to actually know and decide whether we're going to accept a low fee. If that's something you do with intention, that's fine. But, if you want to be like aligned and wait and do more pitching, then you may decide to say, no, actually, this doesn't actually align. And like earlier this year, I was contacted by like a line group. It was like a female business entrepreneur group. They approached me to speak. I was like almost about to say yes, but I was in this mindset for 5 minutes before I thought, oh, hold on a minute, this is not a good deal. So it was, they the mission was aligned. What they were asking me to do was something I could do. I was really happy about, and the opportunity that it potentially offered. But then I asked, what is the budget? And this is when it became an unaligned opportunity, because it was going to be like a low fee, and I had gone past the stage where I'm in the gratitude for just accepting any deal, because now I don't do any deal will do like Joseph, like any dream will do. No, any deal will not do. We've got to think intentionally about the deal. If the deal's not right, you don't say yes. And each deal is personal and individual for every person, but I ask and urge everyone to think about what is right for them, and not just be on autopilot, because for the majority of the time before I actually went into the paid speaker mindset, I was on autopilot, and it was just like yes, 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 without really like thinking. And then after like years, I was like, actually, this is not right, and no one's changing. So it's upon you to be the change, that you want to be, and to seek and to receive. You cannot receive for what you've not asked for. So that is what we have to do. So in the book, there are four speaker types. So there is the reluctant rookie. So that is somebody who doesn't own their paid speaker identity. So what I mean by this is they would have spoken on panels and podcasts, and they're asked to speak, regularly, and it's just something that they do sort of, as I said, on autopilot. They're not really like intentional. They just kind of like wait for things to happen, and that's completely fine. But that's why they're beginning, and they're reluctant, because as much as they say yes to these opportunities, they're not intentionally like crafting their own path. They're not actually also minded to ask for a budget, or to ask for any kind of deal, because whilst we do want to ultimately get paid, we can strike what I call leverage deals, where we're going to get some kind of like asset, or some kind of opportunity or access that makes doing it low cost or free, worth the while. But again, we have to be intentional and ask clearly in order to make that possible. Hold on just a moment. Let's just check who is here. No one is actually here. All right. All these people, the note takers. Okay. So we have the modest mic dropper. So this person is someone who's actually very well established. So they've actually like done TEDx, they've spoken on international stages. But the problem that they have is that they are not actually shining their light, or sharing, consistently about all of the amazing things that they've done. So it's not clear that they've got these like amazing accomplishments because they're not being very visible and open about those things. The third type of speaker is the corporate natural. So that is someone that is working for like a large organization, and they're like a senior leader, and they speak as part of their job. So it might be that they speak on behalf of the company on panels. They speak at town halls. They go to conferences and they speak, and they just speak as part of their job. But again, for them, they have not intentionally like owned their paid speaker identity. They haven't yet, decided how to set up their own speaking business and what it is they want to be speaking on, whether it's aligned with the work that they're doing or something entirely different. And then finally, there is the invisible entrepreneur, and that is someone who's an entrepreneur, and the classic thing that they say to me is, "Okay, I get good feedback," and I'm like, "Okay, great, super." But are you being a visible leader and showcasing that you are, being booked and people are enjoying the insights and the work that you're sharing? And more often than not, the answer is no. It's very uh, little evidence of them, speaking, or you have to look really far back. And bookers and organisers are like every other human. They are lazy and they want an easier life. So don't make them look hard for it. If speaking is a priority for you right now, then you need to be intentional about creating that visibility around your speaking profile. So that's having regular content about your speaking out there that's easy to find. And if you have like big events that you've spoken at, pinning those clips to your profile so it's super easy and super clear for event organizers and bookers to actually find that information. So, in the book, we've got the paid speaker power pyramid. And so at the bottom is what we were talking about in the beginning. So this is when we're in the speaker mindset where we're being passive. We're not really like accepting we're a speaker. We're kind of like just waiting to be picked. It's like a pick me fest, and we're not really being proactive about our speaking career. And we can spend a lot of time in this bottom layer if we don't get intentional and decide that we actually want to be a paid speaker. And once we decide, we move up to the second part of the pyramid, which is the inconsistent paid speaker. So this is somebody who's realized, actually, I don't want to be a Michelin star free lunch. I actually want to be a delectable, amazing, exotic, 5-star meal that gets, paid like 4, 5, 6 figures. That's what they've decided. So now they're like, okay, actually, we need to like ask for the budget, and we need to start using our paid speaker mindset. But in this layer, they are still being sort of inconsistent because they're not sure about if they're really actually going to be successful at being a paid speaker. So they have doubts, they have worries, and they're sort of like in a halfway house of thinking that yes, they want different, but they're unsure. So they're sort of still having some of those habits from the speaker mindset and the bottom layer. And then finally, we send to the top, which is the paid speaker. So that's our paid speaker mindset when they have truly decided to advocate for themselves, to ask the budget every time, and to be intentional about the deals that they do. Whether that's paid, whether that's leveraged, or whether there's something that's coming out of it, or whether they say no and they walk away. But essentially, the paid speaker is treating speaking like a business, and therefore that means they're going to market themselves, they're going to promote themselves, they're going to pitch, they're going to, invest in actually getting the right assets so that they can demonstrate to any organizer or booker that they are a sure thing, a low risk, and they are safe with that person. Because here's one of the common mistakes is that, just as we talked about, like any dream will do, any kind of footage won't do, or any kind of quality of photo will not do either. You got to think about and remember that, an event organizer, also wants a high quality image for their conference or their event or their company or whatever it happens to be. And so we want to mirror that. We want to mirror that we are also a person that is interested in providing high quality services. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to have like um, the top, quality like footage or photography. It just means that you do need to make sure that it is shot on a reasonable like standard of either smartphone or camera crew if that is available to you, and the photos look clear and defined, and same as the footage. Because just imagine if you were trying to look for new speakers, you'd pick the speaker that looks like they have invested in a quality like experience. And that's what we've got to think about. We want to provide a quality experience to those bookers, those organizers, and the other people, whether it's agents or PR opportunities. They want to see good quality assets out there, so that they can understand that you are of a like mind. You know, it's a real shame when there are really like amazing speakers out there who don't realize that the quality of their assets is letting them down, and that is actually a big minus against their bookability. And so, as much as it sounds really harsh and sounds like it's really small, it's not really if you're being discovered and that's what's being found about you. People are going to choose what is more attractive looking. Like, we would all do that. So it's just important to bear that in mind. So let's talk about your speaker niche and relevancy. So in this day and age, it's really important that we adjust to the different markets that we're in, and that we really pay attention to what's current. The words that are being used, the topics that we talked about, so that we can really position ourselves and pitch in a way that makes us relevant to what's happening right now. So it's this is to say that you'll have a main topic area, but within that topic area, there's still an opportunity for you to flex and be more relevant as things change in the market. For example, I have been a LinkedIn coach, and I used to just talk about general LinkedIn sort of business and training stuff. And then I realized last year that the AI wave was strong and it wasn't going to go away. So I decided to reposition myself to talk about AI and visible leadership, and that is a more relevant topic, and it's a topic people are searching for, and it's been a topic that's actually helped to yield me one booking already. So the thing about being relevant is not one to be missed. It's something to really consider. How can you align with what's happening with your market and make you also be more desirable? And at the end of the day, we are anchoring ourselves in solving a clear business problem. So even if your talk is about a transformative experience, something you created as a result of overcoming a challenge, it still needs to solve a business problem, so that if you want to be selling to the corporate market, you're able to do so. Because yes, there's a place for motivational speaking, but it's better to align to business problems, because then there is so much more bookability and applicability. Because as a speaking business, we want to have more applicability in order for us to get booked and paid. So it's just important to remember that. So what type of speaker can you be? So one of the things people often get sort of hung up about is they think that the stage is the only place that you can speak, but the stage isn't the only place that you can get paid to speak. There are actually a number of other speaker types. So the keynote speaker is the one that most of us have heard of. So that is the headline act. They are on the main stage. We've got the guest speaker or the seminar room. They are in the sort of side room. They are not the main stage. But here's the thing: there's no shade if you want to be a guest speaker and speak in the seminar room. and make good money, because there's opportunity in every part of the speaker field, but got to decide where do you want to pick your lane as to be. Now, if you want to pick your lane as a keynote speaker, that's fine. If you want to be a guest seminar speaker, that's great. If you want to even be a virtual speaker and just speak from the comfort of your home, you can do that. But picking a lane that works for you is really important, and not just being blinded by the stage. So yeah, remembering that there are opportunities beyond the stage to get paid to speak, and it's about thinking about like how do you best perform, and how are you best able to share your talents and your insights, and to think about what would be best for your lifestyle, and for what is that you're seeking to achieve. So we are now going to go on to the paid speaker framework, and that is in the book. So the paid speaker framework is my framework, that really helps speakers to go from that speaker mindset, which we don't want to be in, to the paid speaker mindset, which we want to be in, which helps us to be bookable, and build that muscle around our money mindset, negotiation, and really making sure that we are being visible leaders and visible speakers, and ensuring that we are putting ourselves out there in a way that allows us to be seen, to be heard, and for us to also pitch ourselves at, in alignment with the scale of the stages that we are seeking to be on. So the first letter of the framework is P, so that's practice relentlessly. So this is really being focused in on the craft of your talk. So practicing your stage presence, practicing your jokes if you have them, and practicing different kinds of devices that you might want to use in your talk. A is for attracting opportunities with visibility. As I'm obviously very passionate about building up your paid speaker brand, you need to be intentional about, so we're talking about the quality of assets that you put out there and the content that you're sharing, so that it's relevant and findable, so that you can be also bringing things to you whilst you're also applying and pitching. The I is for impact through engaging talks. You're going to create whether it's a talk, webinar, masterclass, whatever field you want to choose, you're speaking to be in. You're going to choose a signature talk that you can deliver, and that people are excited to hear. And the final part of the paid framework is D, demand your value and get paid. So, that is being an advocate of your speaking business, asking for that budget, and really seeing yourself as someone providing a valuable service, and negotiating and making sure that you strike the right deal for you. So with the P, we are really thinking about practicing memorable stories, because um, storytelling is a really strong part of being a good speaker, and practicing for the unexpected, because sometimes when we go to the booking, we can be met with different issues at the event. So it's making sure that we have that resilient mindset to think about how can we respond to anything that happens on the day, and bringing spares and all the rest of that sort of stuff. And then you want to master our talk so well that people are requesting it by name. So speaking isn't only an attraction game. I want to repeat that. Speaking isn't only an attraction game. I think a lot of the time we get blinded by the fact that people think that speaking is just like people are going to come to us because we're good, and that's the end of it. And that's not the end of it. The real truth behind speaking is that you have to pitch. Pitching is part of the process, and that is about making sure that you're aligned with business problems, that we are going to conferences and events where we want to speak, and actually being attendees so that we know how we can align in the future to pitch our talks, that will fit with future opportunities. So be a paid speaker, we need assets, as I was saying before. We need a speaker bio, a speaker CV, speaker content, whether that is on LinkedIn, YouTube, you choose your social platform, but it needs to be content that people can find about you. And then the speaker reel. Now, I'd like to talk a bit about the speaker reel, because I think that a lot of people, when they start in, wanting to be a paid speaker, think that the only thing that they need is the speaker reel, and that's what's going to get them booked and paid. Now, don't get me wrong, the speaker reel is something that you need, but you don't need this straight off. As my story demonstrated from 2022, a speaker reel could be just evidence, when you're starting out, whether it's YouTube, webinars, good quality footage from you speaking at wherever you've spoken. In time, when you want to go for the bigger stages and you want to go for the bigger gigs, and yes, a speaking reel is necessary, but it's not something that you need right out. It's not something you need, if you're getting gigs and you're getting paid at a level that you like, then I think the reel is something for if you really want to, focus more on it, or you want to actually like elevate to bigger stage. So at the moment, I don't have a reel yet. I am still, decided that actually I am still putting together the content that I want for the reel. So I'm not just diving in and making a reel right now, because I have enough content to make a reel, but I've decided that that's not something that I want to focus on. I want to focus on actually the real business of speaking, which is getting better at pitching and doing more content and collaborating, so that my name and face is out there, and I start to get a certain level of attraction, as well as the work that I'm doing with pitching, building relationships, and all of those good things. Yeah, so I like to say that your network is your net worth, right? And you have people that know, like, and trust you. They're your silent sales force, but they can only refer you if you tell them that you're a speaker. There are certain people out there that I know who are shy about telling their own friends, their church members, their gym buddies that they are speakers. I'm like, why? But if you don't tell the people that who are literally close to you that you're speaking or a speaker, then you're losing opportunities. Because they're the people that are able to recommend you easily, and they're the people who also have networks that can help open doors for you. So I remind you that let us have gratitude for those we already know, and not always be striving to increase our network without, pouring into what we already have, and actually unlocking what could be some amazing opportunities. So I encourage you, if you really want to, um, you know, see what's in your network, to look at your LinkedIn contacts and look at where do people actually work, or where have they worked, right? Because even if they're not there anymore, they have worked there. And so they'll still know about the processes around the conferences, or the offsite days, or the, whatever it is that you want to pitch for. So we want to be searchable, in this, AI and normal SEO world. We need to be found, and that is about having content that's out there, that is regular, that is find searchable, and we want to be, using that relevant words and hashtags and keywords, so that we can be found. We want to be referable, so people know what it is that we talk about. We talked about relevancy and niche, so it's being that clear, 1 to 2 topics, person, or ideally one topic, so that people are like, oh, this is the mental health person, or this is the AI visible leadership person, or this is the, change person. Like, but they know clearly what bucket you're in. And then, yes, investing into our network that we already have, because actually those people are your best silent sales force, because they know you, they trust you, and they're rooting for you. And most people want to help. So yes, we want to obviously grow and expand our network, and we definitely do need to do that. But actually, investing in the relationships that we already have is also important, in order to help us to actually, mine and map out what's already in our network. So I had some early beta readers read my book, and Sharon is one of them. And I love Sharon's story because Sharon is in my paid speaker community, um, or in fact, she's in our Get Paid to Speak community, and she was an early reader, and the challenge that she was having was that she was not being a visible leader in her area, and she was one of those people that wasn't as visible as she could be. But after reading the book, she really decided to be intentional about her invisibility and owning her pay speaker mindset. Because one of the things that I often hear in the business world is that I'm not really sure that I want to take on the speaking business or and that kind of thing. But even though that they kind of want it, and I'm like, well, you can't have a halfway house. Like if you're not actually taking ownership for wanting the gigs and doing what it takes, then you can't actually expect to get good results. You can only expect to get hobby results because, as I said before, when I was in the hobby mode, I got hobby results. It was the kind of free gigs, the low paid gigs, until I was like, actually no, we need to talk about the budget. And when I decided to step forward and advocate for myself, that's when things started to change. And then when I started to actually pitch with intention and go out there, sharing about my expertise and the transformation and the problems I can solve that were going to help lots of people. That's when I started to do some really great deals with people that I knew in my network that hired me to actually speak. They paid me, people that I know paid me to speak to their communities, and that was such a beautiful thing. I got to speak to a Black Leadership Academy. That was one of the best talks that I've given in recent times. Because it was a room of powerful Black women in different organizations from around the UK. And they had been on a leadership program, and I was, brought in to talk about LinkedIn leadership, visibility, career advancement. It was a great talk. Anyhow, Sharon said that she really learned from the book that it's not about having 10K followers. It's about having a clear message that adds value and solves a real problem. Solving that problem is so vital. And she applied the paid framework and she secured a paid gig, which was amazing. Really loved that for her. And she is just saying that she supports the vision that I have for championing diverse speakers out there. And yeah. So this is what Ray had to say. So she said that she found the book quite inspiring in terms of the tone and the affirmations, and she said it was easy to follow. Um, but she read the early version, so she didn't quite see the polished one, which is fair enough. But her heart moment was the fact that she had to write a signature talk, because I think that she'd been giving a lot of talks out there in the paid speaker, in the speaker mindset, and not really been creating any content around that. But now she's going to be working towards actually being more visible and building out a signature talk. And so yeah, she found this a useful guide to help someone starting out in the speaking industry. Now, whether you're starting or whether you're experienced, there's something for everyone in the book, because as I talked about with the four speaker types, you know if you're a more experienced speaker, what you'll get from this book is more thinking about the business of speaking and the opportunities to create different deals around your speaking. So whether that is workshops, programs, consultancy, retainers, license deals, there is so much you can do with speaking. But you got to have that business hat on, and not just see the stage and think that's it and you're done. For those people who are sort of more experienced and they want to go into that, the book gives you an opportunity to think more about what you want to do in that space, and to really be able to build an empire around your transformative framework, book, and methodology, and the insights that you have to share. And for those emerging speakers and those new speakers, it is, the step-by-step guide with one, starting with the foundation and the face of belief. We have to believe first before we do anything. Because I can tell you, as a business owner and as a speaker, when my belief has been shaky, I've not got the results, because there was, what they call a cognitive dissonance dissonance. And this means that, like, I would be saying that, yes, I want to be a paid speaker and I want to do a TEDx, or I want to receive a certain fee, but the action and the thinking was not in alignment with those goals. So the thinking would be, well, I'm just going to accept every gig because I'm grateful to be asked. Oh, well, I'm just going to accept that low fee because I'm grateful to be asked. And that kind of repetitive sort of mindset. Whereas, saying actually, no, I want to be intentional about building a paid speaker career means that we have to say, you know what, I'm done with doing free talks. I'm actually going to be intentional about asking you for the budget and, negotiating and making sure that there is some kind of value that comes out of it. And if there is none, then that's where I say no. I release that, and I am, open to receiving the opportunities. I think that once we get into that mindset of being able to be open to receiving different opportunities and obviously applying, like as a job seeker or a speaker for opportunities, then we know that more things will come, and we're not feeling like it's like a scarcity mindset. And I think that in the beginning, we are thinking that it's scarce, but actually, it's $1 billion industry, and there are many, many opportunities. But the challenge is making that transition from the free speaker to the paid speaker, because nobody's going to hand you that budget. And as I said before, organizations that even have money will test you. I received an email last year from a big public sector organization in the UK who have money. They're not bankrupt. They have money. They knocked on my door. They sent me an email, a beautiful email telling me about what they wanted me to do and the opportunities that they had for me and this and that and that and that and all the things, with no mention of a budget, no mention of being paid. And they're waiting for me to say yes. And in the past, I would have said yes, but something told me to ask in my business coaching group about whether I should really like accept accept the deal. And so I actually asked the budget this time because I was like, no, I'm making a change. And lo and behold, they had money and they paid me, but they did not offer up front. And that was a lesson to me, a lesson to us all, that don't assume that those folks who have money are going to just offer it to you. They won't. They're going to wait for you to ask for it, because otherwise, they're going to be look after their own self interest. So you got to do the same and advocate for yourself and your fees, and the greater impact you want to make. Because my belief is that when we are paid to speak, we have more money to do more good in the world. So yes, this is a book for all speaker types, and of every speaker experience. And as I said, this is your paid speaker era. I am so excited that we have spent the last, I guess, 40 minutes together, sharing a few insights and a few highlights from the book. Yes, so please do get your copy. So the landing page is not quite ready yet. We're still in the final phases of the book launch in London, which is happening next week, and printing. So we are doing a wait list. So just let me know if you want a copy of the book. Just send me a message with book, and I'll put you on the wait list. And as soon as the page goes live, you'll be first to know. Oh, one thing I should just also say is that we are doing this amazing thing to help get more books into the hands of more diverse emerging speakers. So we have this opportunity where you can sponsor like 3 books or 5 books, and then what we're going to do is give them away at the at the live book launch in London to emerging speakers. So at the moment, I think 6 people have donated. So we have 6 books to give out. Our goal is to get 12 books given out. So if you know anyone who would like to support donating 3 or 5 books, please do get in touch and share their details, because what happens when you donate 3 or 5 books or more is that you're going to get a mention at the launch and also in my marketing about the launch, and you get a certificate and some bonuses that will help you to actually launch your paid speaking career, or actually elevate it if you've already started. So that is all I've got to say on the book for now. But do you have any questions?
No, no questions. That was great, Akua. I'm really excited. Yeah, I would be willing to donate a book to your event. I can't wait to see all the pics and stuff, but that was fantastic. I took notes and yeah, I think this is definitely I can't wait to get the book so I can, have it as a companion as I launch out into paid speaking. But yeah, that was all great advice.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think one thing that I'd like to share with like everyone here is that the job market is like quite like changeable at the moment, and a lot of people are experiencing like unemployment, and that's not been a great thing. But I want to remind you that everyone has a voice, and our voice can be our freedom plan. And whilst you might not have thought about speaking before, if you are obviously searching for work, obviously do that as a primary. But if you feel that you've been communicating as part of your work, let's say you um, volunteer and you coach or you mentor, or let's say you are part of a faith group, I can bet that you spend time like without thinking about it, speaking in a capacity where you have to present yourself and present information that is helping and changing people's lives. So like if that is you, like this book can help you too. I want to offer this opportunity to not only people who are intentionally wanting to be speakers because that is something that they are excited on and that's their ambition. But I want to also offer this as an opportunity for someone who's looking for an additional income stream. But I want to say it in the way that is in alignment with my values, which is that it takes work. It's not just having the experience and being good. It's being prepared to actually put in the work. But what I want to say about the work is that if I have described you've been let's say preaching as part of your faith, you have been coaching, you have been out there volunteering in a capacity where you are presenting ideas and information, and you might even have your own book. Then considering the speaking stream as an intentional income source is one that you should explore. What do you think, Allison?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because I've been thinking about um, writing a book based on the blog newsletter that I started with, that we talked about with leading change. And I think, that could easily turn into a book and then that could be some speaking topics. So yeah, I think that that would be a great opportunity, especially if I'm able to land a role as a consultant. That would give me more freedom to be a speaker because when I was a permanent employee for Chevron, they had us on a moratorium. They didn't want anybody to do any external speaking. But being a consultant sets me free, and I definitely could leverage some paid speaking opportunities.
Yes, yes, no, and I definitely understand because we do see people in the corporate space like kind of like wondering like what's their opportunity, and like you said, sometimes there's a moratorium depending on how strict the rules are within those organizations.
Mm.
Sometimes it's not as strict, and sometimes if you do your homework, you can make it work, but you gotta like be willing to at least investigate to understand what you could actually like leverage, because if you're already out there doing it just as part of work, and it's not as locked down as Alton was describing, then there's no reason that you shouldn't actually decide to create your own future, because you might decide that one day you want to move on from an organization. But if you are thinking about the future proofing your career and your opportunities, you might think about starting to collect some relationships and contacts, as you're doing those things, even if it's just for work. But building those relationships for in the future when you decide to either step away or to launch your own speaking business, that they already know you and you can reach out to them and be like, hey, I mean, now in a new capacity, you've seen me speak before, you know that I can deliver the goods. Let's negotiate and talk about like how I can serve and like do great work with you, right? Collaborate, and that's the great thing. So I think that it's super important that we open our minds to these opportunities. Because one of the things that I've seen in the corporate space, which has surprised me, is where there's a sort of a thinking about that, because their speaking opportunities have been tied to the corporation, that nobody sees them. And I feel so sad when people like say that, because I'm like, it's not, yes, they're gonna, in the instance of you being an employee and speaking on behalf of your organization, yes, they're hiring you to do that thing, but they're also like wanting to hear you, because there's more than one of you at the organization who speaks on the topic. So like the fact that they have actually come to you is actually, they do see you, and it's not just the label of the organization. So I want us to have like some belief, and some faith in the fact that people are listening to what we're saying beyond the label of the organization. And the final thing I just want to say before we wrap it up is that when we have had those like experiences in large organizations, it can feel like we can get a bit lost, and that we've had to have a corporate identity, and you take some time to unpick that. But I think that to always remember that people do buy into people.